Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. Get yourself comfortable and prepare for some interesting stories. One of them is about a crazy lady who was screaming at the top of her lungs to call the cops on OP because he threatened her and her children. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Well, this is not the experience I thought I'd have on my way home from the office this afternoon, but alas, here we are. While enduring my afternoon commute, I decided to stop at the old WM to pick up some cat food to avoid having to do it over the weekend. I usually make a point to shop at Bullseye to avoid the WM tomfoolery, but WM was closer, and I was tired. I walked in and immediately experienced the cacophony of Boxing Day that I'd completely forgotten about. The customer service desk line was past Subway and down into menswear, and the checkouts were an absolute nightmare. I had half a mind to turn around and leave, but I resigned to tolerating it now and dealing with a potentially worse situation on a Saturday. I made a beeline for the pet section, find the biggest bag of the brand I'm keen on, hoist it over my shoulder, and off to checkout I went. As I made my way over, I glanced past the employee station sections and peeked at self-checkout, which was even more of a mess. I decided to interact with another human at WM for the first time in months. As I'm standing in line, I eye a Red Bull cooler at the end cap and snag one. I'm perhaps the third or fourth person in the line at the lovely 10, maybe 20 items or less line, a limit that people love to test on an hourly basis. But I digress. It was moving at a decent enough speed for a day like today. I worked in retail and retail management for a collective 6 years, so I pride myself on being one of the most patient and understanding customers on the East Coast. The Karen behind me, however, was not. She had a shopping cart parked too close to my rear for my liking, and frequently sighed and tapped her foot in the bottom section of her shopping cart, from the sound of it anyway, and tissed and tutted regularly. If I rolled my eyes any harder, they might have dislodged themselves from their sockets. I hate waiting as much as the next person, but what I hate even more are people who feel the need to do so and make that much of a noise in the process. The cashier summons the next person in line, and now there's just a single soul ahead of me. Karen huffs and puffs again and inches forward, bumping me with her shopping cart. I half turn and glance at the shopping cart, then at her, giving her a neutral eyebrow raise, hoping she'd get the hint, take a step or two back. Spoiler alert, she didn't. But it was then that she decided that either her bumping me with her cart or my decision to turn around and acknowledge her existence was a green light to bother me. And so it begins. EK, entitled Karen. C, cashier. SH, shopper. SM, store manager. AP, asset protection. PO, police officer. Me, Alexios the Eagle Bearer. EK, excuse me. Me, silence. EK, slightly louder. Excuse me. Me, turn slightly, cat food still hoisted over my shoulder. Me, EK, yes. Could you let me in front of you? I'm tired of waiting. Me, glances into EK's shopping cart. I only have 2 things. I'll be quick. EK, yeah, but I'm tired of waiting. This line is ridiculous. Me, well, I can't help that, sadly. EK, you kids have no respect for your elders. Me, I'm 26 years old. I'm hardly a kid. And you look about 36. You're hardly what I consider an elder. And you're certainly not mine. EK, wow, rude much? I just asked to get in front of you in line. Me, yes, and I heard you perfectly fine. Look, with respect, if our roles were reversed, I'd totally let you. But you have a cart full of things while I only have 2. Please. I'm just trying to wait for my turn in peace. EK, your cat can wait? My kids are in the car waiting for me. Me, not a me problem. Hope they have supervision. EK, emits some kind of guttural growl or sneer. At this point, the customer shopper in front of me turns his head slightly to glance behind him, then glances at the large bag of cat food over my shoulder. SH. Hey man, do you want to go ahead of me? Me. Nah, that's alright. You've been waiting longer than me. Thanks though, I appreciate it. EK. I'll go if you want. SH. I wasn't speaking to you. EK. Why, I never. The customer ahead of me took his turn with the cashier, and I, now mildly exhausted from having a 20-something pound bag of cat food over my shoulder, bent forward to prop it against the checkout conveyor belt, since the customer in front of me had it loaded with his items. It's worth mentioning at this point of the story, I have a license to carry, and always do, a 9mm compact in a IWB holster in the back of my pants. What I didn't realize was that when I bent forward, my bomber jacket lifted enough to reveal enough to determine what was tucked securely away. The outline of a firearm showing through your clothes, or anything of the sort, isn't necessarily illegal. Neither is open carrying. It's just better mannered to keep your concealed carry, well, concealed. Usually to avoid making people uncomfortable, or giving someone an excuse to cause a scene, which is exactly what this Karen decided to do. EK. You have a gun? Me. Silence with an eye roll. EK. He has a gun! He has a gun! Me. I have a license to carry it. Will you be quiet and mind your business? EK. He threatened me with this thing. Help! I need the manager. Someone call the police! Now the entire front end of the store is looking over in our direction, and I honestly just wanted to sink into the disgusting linoleum and fall into oblivion. The cashier rolls her eyes, picks up the phone to summon asset protection and the store manager. AP arrives on the scene first, with the manager arriving a few moments later. AP. What seems to be the problem here? EK. That guy has a gun and he threatened me. Me. Oh my lord. AP. Ma'am, please calm down. Sir, what's the issue? Me. I didn't threaten her. I've been waiting in line, minding my own business. Sir, if you have a gun, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store. We do not allow guns here. Me. There is no posted signage stating the fact, but that's fine. I'd like to get away from her anyway. EK. No! I want him arrested. He threatened me. Me. I did not. EK. You're a freaking liar. You threatened me. Me. You're insane and a negligent parent, miss. My kids are in the car. EK. How dare you bring my kids into this? Are you going to hurt them too? SM. Excuse me. I'm the store manager here. What's going on? AP. This woman claims this man has a gun and threatened to hurt her. I just asked him to leave. Cashier. He barely said a word to her. SH. Yeah. He's been standing in line quiet, and she's been harassing him about taking his place in line. He didn't threaten her. He's barely said anything to her. AP. Still, you can't have guns in the store. You need to leave or I'll call the police. SM. Excuse me, I don't see a gun. Sir, what's happened? Me. I leaned down to put a bag of cat food down since I got tired of holding it. My jacket must have lifted and revealed my gun. I have a license to carry and it was concealed. SM. We don't allow open carry. Concealed carry is allowed, in accordance with our state regulations. Sir, may I please see your LTC? Me. Opens wallet, hands over LTC. SM. Hands it back after looking at it. Looks like you to me. I apologize for the inconvenience. AP, meet me in the staff room in 5 minutes. It seems we need to review our policies and guidelines before you ask customers to leave unnecessarily. EK. No, I want him arrested. He threatened me and my children. Aren't you listening? Well, someone in the store must have called the police because a second later, a police officer approached just as EK finished screaming. The store manager explained the situation to the officer, who then heard from the cashier and the shopper in line in front of me, verified my LTC, and dismissed me. Me. Officer, forgive me. It may not be my business, but EK told me she had left her children in the car. I don't know how old they are, but given the fact that this whole nonsense took God knows how long, someone might want to check on those kids. Officer. Ma'am, I'm going to need to escort you to your vehicle. EK. EK began another tirade of screaming and arguing and ended up being removed from the store by the police officer. I don't know what happened to her or her poor kids. Maybe the kids were of age and could be left alone. But given her appearance and impression I got from her, they most likely were kids that shouldn't have been left alone. What an absolutely disgusting witch of a woman, and a disgusting AP employee as well, that had no legal right whatsoever to ask you to leave. Seeing as how you never once threatened her, you never touched your weapon, have a valid permit, and barely even acknowledged her presence. I sincerely hope she got a ticket or some sort over her children, and I hope the AP got reamed. He has no business being in that line of work if he doesn't know proper laws. I am about 20ish years old. Never ask a lady her true age. And I am pretty autistic. I'm high functioning in that I can type and play video games very well, but my social skill disabilities are so severe that I qualify for disability. The government gives me a monthly disability check, which means I do not have to work. As such, I have plenty of free time. During the start of the pandemic, I was severely lucky that I was able to score a PS5 and an Xbox Series X using the first COVID check that President Trump gave out. It was for the economy, so I did not feel guilty about spending the money on something like that. With the second and third checks, I bought a new TV. I bought a Sony X900H 65-inch TV, which could utilize those consoles' capabilities to their fullest. 4K, 120Hz, the works. Now we have some neighbors, and this is where entitled mom comes in. My nephew, who my younger sister was mentally incapable of caring for, she's legit psychopath, like literally. She feels next to zero emotion, except for herself. Is best friends with one of the neighbor's kids, and he comes over a lot. Being the kind of aunt, I often let the kids use my consoles. I have some rules they have to follow. Face masks, hands washed, hand sanitizer, etc. After a few months, the kid begs his mom to buy him PS5 and an Xbox, and as expected, she cannot find one. She then comes to me, and I swear in the most Karen of Karen voices, she asks, "Excuse me, can I buy one of your consoles off you? My son loves playing them, and I would appreciate it if you gave them to me. I'll give you $300. I was shocked. I know she was looking online for them and knew they cost $500 each. So I responded, I can talk to people I'm familiar with, but new people I shut down easily. Sorry, each console is $500 and not for sale. Sorry that you're unable to find one that's not scalped, but I play on these all the time, and I already sold my PS4 Pro and my Xbox One. These are all I have to play my library of games. Cute entitled Parrot Mode. You're a young lady. You shouldn't be playing with boys' toys anyway. You should be looking for a boyfriend and enjoying life. Maybe start a family. I'll give you $500 to give me both, and that's my final offer." Terrible things aside, I was taken aback by the second lowball offer. I decided to play on the Karen's lack of knowledge of how these systems work, and told her this. "Ma'am, these are next generation hardware and they will not function properly on older TVs. I know you haven't gotten your son a new TV yet, and the one I have here is $2,400, and is the minimum you need in order to use these consoles. Sorry, but even if I sold them to you, they still wouldn't work on your older TV. Then give me your TV too. All of this is used, so I'll take them all for $1,000. Be grateful you're getting that much." Again taken back, but finally my mother came downstairs, hearing the shouting, and stepped in. "Karen, it's time for you to go home. Stop harassing my daughter. And also, I feel like it would be best for my grandson if your son never came to see him again. I raised him to be a kind, generous young man, and I feel like you're a bad influence on him. Now leave my home, or else I will call the police." And Karen left, and often I'm going out for food or to pick up a new game at the store. I see her in the yard, and she gives me this cold, evil glare, like I am the bad guy. You're forcing her to face her life choices. You're monstrous enough to continue to enjoy childish pursuits and not to make a focus of your life a husband and children. Of course she's giving you the stink eye. You're not a woman. You're an evil devil in the shape of a woman, forcing her to consider that maybe, just maybe, she's wrong about her entire life. My mother died when I was 11, one day after my birthday to be precise. It was a really hard loss, and I miss her every day since. My father didn't leave much of her belongings since it hurt him so much. Around a year and a half after she died, he remarried. Long story, but that was a mistake, and they divorced this year. The woman he married hated me. I don't know what it was or why she hated me. Whenever we went shopping, she would tell my father not to spend money on me since I'm a spoiled brat anyways, and don't deserve anything. When I liked or wanted something, she automatically snatched it out of my hands and threw it back on the shelf. Tell me, it's too good for me, or she would get it for herself. Same with perfume, which triggered me the most, eventually, but the actual story is probably the worst of all. When I turned 17, my father sat me down and gave me my mother's jewelry collection. The only thing he kept was her wedding ring, obviously. He just recently told me 3 years later that he did so because he had a feeling my stepmother and stepbrother were snooping for it. I was shocked, if I'm honest. I didn't expect to get the jewelry, especially my mom's favorite ring. Pretty expensive one, too. I didn't wear the ring the first few days and hid the box in my wardrobe, trying to cope with the situation since it did make me sad. Bittersweet type of moment. When I finally decided to put the ring on, all heck broke loose. When my stepmother came home from work that day and saw me wearing the ring, she demanded that I tell her why I have it. I simply left the room, not wanting to argue. When my dad came home, she mentioned it while we were sitting at the dinner table, thinking I stole it from my father, so he would punish and belittle me. He looked at her and told her to drop it. Later in the evening, I heard her yelling and screaming, telling my father that she deserved it more. I could go without and shut my bratty spoiled mouth so he could just demand everything back. I was laughing in my room because that was so ridiculous. My dad then yelled at her to shut her mouth and never demand anything that belonged to my mother or me ever again, because I was there first. One of the only times my father stood up for me. How sad, not only to lose your mother at such a young age, but your father started dating so soon after, then married an abusive witch. I'm assuming her sons were also abusive and got everything they wanted. I'm surprised they didn't steal your mom's jewelry. I wouldn't have put it past them for a second. I'd say good for you, Dad, for standing up for you, but it was very much too little too late, in my own opinion. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story's about a lady and her kid who is trying to lie to managers about what OP did. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.